Well, certainly had worse days at the office than that. That was what, 22? 22 into qualify, and that isn't even the most. It's not even the most impressive part. Was that they all qualified. The most impressive part was on what they qualified. I got here yesterday afternoon, and I told you guys in another video, the water truck was going around the track slow, and it seemed like the water was coming out slow. It worked, whatever. The pump was broken on the water truck. Okay, fix it, I guess. Come in today, water truck was out in the track around, what was it, 10? When we warm up, 20 after 10?
Yeah.
20 after 10, the water truck's out. 11 o'clock, the qualifiers start. First break was after the third, I think we warmed up, right? I think the water truck out there after the third. Track was a little deep. I guess a little is not a fair representation.
What happens when it's dry.
Yeah, that track, and that's one of the worst ones when it gets dry. Remember how Georgian used to get how dusty it was? So track was really deep. So I'm thinking, geez, I wish they had watered it. You know, it's after the third. We're in the sixth. We go out for the sixth qualifier. Now I get Gypsy Hill, who is likely, no, he is probably going to be our representative in the next generation. A really, really nice colt, which we don't turn here, right?
No, stay left.
Stay left. Well, I got him, and quite frankly, I haven't sat behind Gypsy Hill very much at all. So I don't really know him that well. I see him, I've trained him once in a while, but don't know him that well. Scotty's going with one of our best fillies, Affection. And Antilles Hanover was in there. Now, we made a little boo-boo. 2 weeks ago, we schooled Antilles Hanover, and he was just crushing the bike. You know, he's got a very awkward gait to him, and he paddles a lot behind. So when you look at him, he's just a very ordinary, mediocre-looking horse, but takes up a lot of room. And it happens once in a while, and good for Jason for getting him around 2, 4, and 4. But he was all over the place, and he was hitting the bike pretty good, but he got his work done. So we get through the first qualifier. I had won the qualifier. Gypsy Hill, the track now. All the horses with flip-flops were going to struggle, which is a good 7, 8, 9 of them that we had in today. So I wasn't really pleased with the track, to be honest. Gypsy Hill has touched himself, got out of gear a couple of times, and still finished off the qualifier. Was Affection trotting good?
Yeah, she was good.
Scotty didn't like the fact that she had no head check on, and I thought we had rectified that and put one on her. I'm not concerned with it, but he was a little worried about her tipping over. The faster she goes, the lower her head gets like an airplane. But we finished up the mile really, really well. And it's a very deceptive day because it's hard to say, oh, the track's off 3 seconds, because for each horse, so for the horses with flip-flops, probably was off 3 seconds.
Yeah, for sure.
For the horses with normal shoes on, maybe a second or two. But it was very taxing surface for all horses that raced, that qualified today. So Gypsy Hill and Affection were very good, and good job by Antilles Hanover getting his work done with hitting the bike as much as he was. He said he just pounded the bike. Now we come out with the next set. I had Prince Charmer in there. He was a little grabby at the gate, the bugger, and he wanted to get at it, and I was happy to let him. I think I left him. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And I was happy to let him put him over on the front end. Scott was in behind me with Memory and Imagination. I guess we should rewind. Was there any feedback from Affection other than low head?
No, she's extremely well-mannered. Actually, the reason I left with her, because she was so well-mannered. I don't think she's ever going to get to a point where she's overly aggressive, so that's why I left with her. But, yeah, she does everything right. It's just the head disappears, you know.
You could still see her ears, couldn't you?
You could barely see her ears.
So, Affection was great today. I was very happy with Gypsy Hill, especially seeing what I was seeing going on in front of me. I could see him touch his knee the odd time. I could see him, get out of gear, but still stay focused on his work. And that's hard. People don't understand when you have 2-year-olds in a situation where they go behind the gate and now they're competing in a group and they're interfering. It's very, very difficult for them to stay focused. And I don't tell you how many times you see horses roll off stride.
Yeah, well, it's the tempo, right? So it's very nice and easy when you go your own speed and they interfere a little bit, but you could gather them up. But if someone's slowing down in front of you or they're trying to catch up to someone in front, it's just that all of that is what makes it a race-like situation.
Mm-hmm. So he did his work well. Affection was good until he was good. Now we moved to the second one. Prince Charmer was good. I put him on the front. Vernon Beachy come with a big rush on the outside. He was going to beat me. I don't know if you were still going to run him down. I assume you were, by the way the horse looked. But Memory and Imagination, I thought was good. Prince Charmer, I was very happy with. Another big, strong horse that really just, the track just wasn't there. It just kept breaking away underneath him, and you could feel him just struggle to come forward. But still, again, did his work well. And another horse, Irresistible Sun. You know, Jason had a lot of pressure on him because we would have made fun of him so bad for every horse he made a break with. Right. And he was just trying his hardest. Like, he was probably on pins and needles all day. But got his work done, did his work good. And Irresistible Sun, he thought was very good. He said closing hard on the end of it looked great. Now, your horse, Memory and Imagination, your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I'd say he was, like, sneaky good. He didn't, like, sitting behind him, he doesn't give you the wow factor, but he does everything you ask him to do, and a little bit more, actually. So I'd say he was really one of the highlights of the day for me, I thought.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of our clients are probably happy to hear that, and I am too. This is Brace for Landing, as I said, cousin, and I'll keep doubling down on Brace for Landing until he completely breaks my heart.
Yes.
But this guy is out of a sister to Brace for Landing, first foal out of a sister, I believe. And he was so bad. He would kick and stuff when we were on the track when we first broke him. Like, just a miserable little rotten horse. And then we castrated him, and immediately he was just a different horse. So he's a Father Patrick. So he'll be heading, a lot of these horses will be heading to Pennsylvania at some point. Prince Charmer second. Irresistible Sun, Jason said, was very, very, very good. And he was really, really happy with him. Now, I'm starting to get angry because the water truck's not out there. Now, the 7th's over. They have a break. I asked the paddock judge, can you do me a favor? Can you ask them to bring the water truck out? It's terrible out here. It's really dusty. The horses can't get a hold of the track. We're trying to qualify our 2-year-olds, and it is really, really bad out here. And she looked right at me. Nice lady, too. Looked right at me and said, Anthony, they said they can't. Yeah. I called the judges. I said, hey, sorry to bother you. I never complain about this stuff, but, you know, these are some of our better horses. We're trying to qualify, and this track's really bad. He said, I understand, Anthony. I called down to the maintenance shop, and they said they're worried about having the water truck, the pump good for the big night, the weekend on Saturday, and send it to get fixed.
They also had a bunch of construction going on right on the tarmac.
Yeah, but that's generally
cranes and
that's what they do all the time there. The horses, not scared of anything.
No.
I'm like, sir, what do you mean? He goes, I said, I saw it this morning. He goes, yeah, and they took it over to the mechanics to get it fixed. I said, could they not take it over at 3 o'clock? 15 qualifiers, and you're going to... Now, at this point, it is very dusty, very terrible. The track is breaking away. Like, it is horrible out there. And I was getting a little upset, to be honest. I was a little angry, to be quite frank. And, well, what are you going to do? So I just bite my lip, and that was it. We leave. Now, I know... Yeah, see that? I'm just going to go in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And then the scumbag move. Yeah, I'm going to pull the scumbag move. See, I could have went in there. I'm going to go full scumbag. I'm even going to go another half mile up further and then duck it. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of traffic. Where are these people going?
There's an accident right at the top of it.
Top of what? The ramp?
On the ramp, yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, my. Well, I'm going to do it. See that guy? Full scumbag. I'm going to try and outdo him. Yeah. Like, right? Look, I know where I'm going to go. Oh, guy was there. Should I give him the old blink?
Full scumbag.
Oh, yeah. I love this guy's angry.
He's not happy about it.
Yeah, this guy... That's a full-on
I hope you can
horn.
hear him getting the horn.
Fake wave. Ontario plates, right?
Oh, yeah.
Lady.
Friendly Canadians here.
Yeah. And they don't know where they're going. You know what I mean? They don't know where they're going.
We're not even in a rush, but okay.
Well, it would have been 45-minute wait. We didn't. And that lady, she's got her Doberman. Look, got her dog's head out the window.
Lady that honked at
Oh, yeah, she a full-on lady honk, yeah. And she got her dog out the window. Dog's gonna jump out the window. Anyway, we go out for the 8th. Now, I'm really mad because Pull the Shoes is not going to be good on a deep track. Now, the reason being, so this is important, she'll touch in places. And usually horses that will touch a knee or touch a jack and get out of gear, deep tracks, not their friend. And this track was as deep as you could have it. Like, it was really bad. So I go out and I score down, she runs. She hasn't made a break since March, maybe. And I could feel she was just frustrated, right? Just touching herself and getting it again. She was really angry herself. So I go around. I held the race up. You never noticed this. I held the qualifier up and went around once more. With the filly, and she kind of settled in, right? And I pulled her hobbles in a little bit, and we get going. So she goes out of there a little bit. A couple of them go out of there with her, but Scotty, as he was talking about tempo earlier, I don't want to double her up, and I don't want to give her a head. I just want to let her coast until she can find some comfort on the track, if she can. She get out of gear. If you watch the qualifier, she near run. Did you notice her coming out of the first turn? Got all out of gear.
Was I on front?
No, I was on front. I mean, you put everything on front today, but I was on front with her. You had Royal Emeralds, the one that you liked, the hot one.
Yeah. No, yeah. I couldn't see you up there because I was underneath my seat.
So Jeff owns the horse. Him and his partners, and Scotty loved Royal Emeralds, but going behind the gate, I could see she was really hot. They didn't have the snake cord in her mouth, and I guess they haven't worn it on her in a while. But I told them, I said, from now on, snake cord full time on the filly. She just gets a little warm, right? It's green shoes. She wants to get at it. But was she polite, or was she throwing her head or anything? Was she good that way?
She was throwing her head prior to the gate because she was so anxious, and then once she settled in the race, no, she didn't.
She didn't do that?
No, she just pulled as hard as you could pull.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we'll just leave it. And you did. They said you might have shut her air off too.
Oh, I expect I did. Yeah, but she was stellar after that.
Oh yeah. Really nice filly. And of all the green shoes we have, she's angry now.
Did she give you the bird?
No, she wouldn't. She doesn't seem like that.
Do you not need to get back in front of her right now?
Yeah, but I don't think she's...
Don't stare her down. Right?
No, I don't think she's going to give me a hole this time.
No, don't ask for a hole.
But what about our big girl? What about our friend here? She's going to let me in. And you know what? That's going to only infuriate.
Yeah,
look at her.
She's two back. Yeah,
she's two back. Now she's really angry. Well, what are you going to do? So Royal Emeralds was very good, very strong in the face. What is going on here? Done.
She probably, out of all of them I went with today, I'd say had the most talent, though. She feels like raw power.
Yeah, and she's all, and it's funny you say that because we've said that about this filly for quite a while now, that she is just raw power, and is the strongest of the green shoes. That's a very fair way to put it.
Green shoe himself had no manners.
So yeah, and that's why we've, if you remember. Lexington, the green shoes were almost... She's got a nice dog, though. Green shoes were almost the most expensive, dollar for dollar, outside Walmart. Yeah. And then when we get to Harrisburg, they just fell off the cliff, right? And they said that the Europeans just did not like... the Europeans didn't like the green shoes. They weren't breaking well.
No, they weren't.
Yeah. And I know exactly what they're talking about. Really angry little horses. And this filly here was so bad. She paced for a month. She wore a lot of weight to get her trotting, and then she finally started to come around slowly. And I was happy with her, and then she just got better and better and better. Now she's just this big, powerful moose of a horse. And you're right, she is a very strong filly. But in the mile, she was behaved other than pulling a little bit, right?
Yeah, very good gaited.
Yeah.
And not throwing herself, but just did not want to relax. She wanted to go.
Yeah. So, pull the shoes... finished it off, 29-3, worked really hard to do her work. I was super impressed with her focus because, as I said, and as Scotty was talking about the tempo, it was not her day. She was not comfortable on the track. Come on. She was not comfortable on the track. I wish that lady was there. I couldn't let her in. She was not comfortable on the track, and, rear end. That's exactly what happened to me without the damage the other day. Pull the shoes was whoa, you're gonna be another one.
Oh my god.
See, you gotta be a safe driver.
Yeah.
People like that out there. It's just down here, right? You have it up?
Yes, I do.
It's on the right, right? Yeah. I know where I'm at.
0.7.
Yeah, I know where I'm at. So Pull the Shoes, very impressed with her poise and her focus. And for her to do her work, just go back and watch the qualifier. Watch her putting in steps coming into the gate. Watch her almost run starting into the backstretch at the quarter pole. And for her to just shake all that off, recompose herself, and then finish off her mile the way she did was just a really, really impressive feat. And that's not taking anything away from Royal Emeralds. Royal Emeralds an easy fix. Put the snake cord on the filly. No problem. Very impressed with both of them. And who did Jason hit? Mel Gibswan.
Right.
He went a mile in 2:2, come 29:4. I didn't ask him about Mel Gibswan. Now the mile is...
It's hard to make up ground.
Yeah, not really hard.
A deep track and a half-mile track.
And that is exactly what I was about to say. And you're 100%. It's much like when we train the babies, and if you're sitting sixth at the half, you're likely going to finish sixth, unless you're way better. It's really hard to make up that ground. But it's important that they learn to do that. And I didn't get to talk to him about Mel Gibswan. The mile looks good. He's at the half in 1:02.3, goes a mile in 2:2 flat, last quarter 29:4. Pretty decent mile for him.
But a 28 and a piece quarter was almost near impossible today. So any 29s were fast.
Yeah. Now, I came out in the track with Sedona Hill. I thought she was a little bit off left hind, and I'd said this to Scotty. I let her jog out, and I knew exactly what had happened. I looked down, and I could see the clinch marks on the shoes were shiny. She was just done within the last 72 hours. And what happens, I could tell because I went with her last week. She was not sore at all. Nobody talked about her being off at all this week. And then within 10 strides, she was much better. And I could tell by looking at her what was going on. She probably has a nail that's a little close to the white line in that left hind foot. So I'd asked Lauren to keep a close eye on her. She had just texted me a short time ago and said, hey, that filly's left hind foot is hot. And she's walking good on it, but it is warm. I said, could you just pull that shoe off and poultice it up and have Enos reapply that shoe maybe tomorrow, and she'll be fine. But Sedona Hill, you'd never know it in the mile. She mapped out a really, really good mile. Last half, 58.4. It's right there.
Let's go to the Cheesecake Factory.
You'd like to go there?
I would rather go to the Cheesecake.
No problem at all. I don't care. You're here. You're buying. What do I care?
Yeah.
That place is probably one of the top 3 steakhouses in Ohio.
Yeah, but I don't need that.
Okay, no, hey, I don't mind the Cheesecake Factory. In fact, I'll tell you, you can leave a little note for your friend Steve Palermo, who despises the Cheesecake Factory.
No, Megan and I's one of our favorites.
I love it. I love the cheesecake. There's a place there, LLB. I probably should get Amy something. It's our anniversary. I'm going to take her out to Roots Chris tomorrow, but I thought she might forget today, too. She knew. 7 o'clock. Happy anniversary. Maybe I'll stop and give her something. So where are we at? Sedona Hill. There's her anniversary present. Her father owns a small piece of... did you see where it was, the Cheesecake Factory?
It's behind us. I don't know why you were turning right. It's right there.
Oh, is it?
Oh, my mistake.
I've never actually been on this side of the complex before. There's J. Crew, and it's actually a nice place. Lyle and Shelley own a very small piece of Sedona Hill. Amy has a very small piece of Sedona Hill. We love this filly, and she was awesome today. So, happy anniversary, Amy. Sedona Hill has a lifetime mark on June the 8th. Our anniversary. Boom. Done.
Seller's line.
It is what it is. She was extremely strong, though. Look at her last quarter. 29-2 on the front end. 4-length romp. Last half in 58-4. Good for her. Blanton's Blue now. I'm curious because we talked briefly, but I didn't touch on him with you. Go.
Oh, he was good. I mean, he did everything right. I was never really worried. I asked him, he responded. It was just, we kind of stayed at our same speed the whole way. That was it. Very handy though. Good. Should be very good on a half.
Yeah. You think they'll trade Mamacita straight up for him?
Yeah. Hope so. For you.
So this is obviously Mamacita's brother. I schooled him in 2-1 last week, and he went a mile in 2-1-4 today. So that's just to show you how deep the track is and how kind of crappy it was today. Blanton's Blue, did he do it easy though?
Yeah.
Because he went a mile in 2-1 flat, come 58-3 or something the other day, and he was awesome. Yeah. And then today, with the track, it's hard to get a gauge on how they actually were. But I know that Sedona Hill was impressive, and you ended up third. Who did Jason have in there? Digit's hobbles were out long. He did a good job to keep this filly trotting. I watched him go to the Gator hobbles were way, way longer than they should have been with her. She's up to the quarter in 32 seconds. a half in 103 and 2 goes a mile and 2.4. Not a bad mile for that filly. Again, we're on qualifier 9, our third qualifier. They're all qualified.
Yeah, it's
we were batting 100. We were batting 1,000 at that point, and I was pretty pumped.
If there was any breakers, you would have just lost your mind because of the track.
Oh yes, I would. So then we go in the next one. I see Scott paralyzed another one. Put another one on the front end. Really don't care. Now, I sat third for a number of reasons. One, I wanted to make sure you were on the front so James couldn't ridicule me. 2, Joel, I told you about Joel, my partner, just a sweet guy. He bred Sweeney, and he owns a significant piece of him still. I wanted just to sit with Sweeney and have him finishing up strong. Now, Joel, I did to have mercy on Scott halfway down the lane and around the last turn. I wanted to, really don't care, hasn't been on the front too much, and I let Sweeney sit beside him. Had that's been a race situation, I was gone in the last turn. But I let him idle up alongside, really don't care. And she did. She seemed like she did anyway.
She did, yeah. She was waiting for somebody.
Yeah, came back to life, and then we trotted hard right through the wire. That the entire set, and Jason, this is probably one of his strongest miles of the day, Purple People Eater. We had her sister a couple of years ago, that Purple Aura. That was a pretty nice filly for us. This is her half-sister by What the Hill. So that was a really strong group. You were happy with Really Don't Care. And I had to ask you, though, does she feel really good or
It's hard to tell. She was so strong physically behind the gate. Not that she wanted to do anything crazy, but I let her leave out of there at a nice speed. And when she got there, she relaxed right away. Maybe relaxed too much. So then I'd have to ask her going to the quarter, ask her going to the half. So all those asks, and then down the lane, it was just racing against you. But yeah, she was just a little green as well.
Oh, good. Because, quite frankly, this is one of the horses we had pegged as, how was she with her knee? Was she hitting herself at all?
Oh, that's the spreader one?
That was the one we snuck that spreader onto. And I didn't know if she needed to, but I said, I'd rather have a little overkill and make sure she qualified good than have you come in and say, she's into that kneeling more than
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know at that time she was a Chapter 7 because, she's got to go to New York. And she was probably the most bomb-proof one I went with today.
Oh, good. And that's perfect. So that's what I want to hear, because that filly there was one of our best horses training down. Every week, week in and week out, you go back and watch any video on any time we videoed the horses and watch her. She was always one of our best. So that's good. A great qualifier. I thought Sweeney was one of my strongest horses today, too. That horse was really, really good. When that horse came in the mare, it took 5 of us to get him in the stall. He was that timid. We gelded him.
Elbow hitter.
That's right, he does. He wears elbow boots. He doesn't pound them, but he does. You're right, he wears elbow boots, yeah. But he, flawless today. His last half was 59 and 2, last quarter 29 and 3. Again, a great qualifier, and we're all riding high. They've all qualified to this point, and all look pretty good. Now we go out with the 11th set. The track is starting to really deteriorate at this time. Vaquero Blue Chip, I wanted to go easy with him. Jason was going with Victory, and you at Activation. You thought Activation, this is the guy, the Repentance horse.
Yeah. He wanted to leave, which is why I didn't want him to leave.
Yeah, which is perfect. I left for them last week. That's why.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, at the schooler, I went 2-3 coming out of 58. He was very strong. But I was going to the gate, and I was like, I'm not going to tell you to wind him up. You do what you want, but he's like a big plotter. He's kind of like Spitfire, but he doesn't have that snap speed.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, but he wants, and I think he's going to be a better horse because he feels really strong.
Yeah.
And I think once he figures it out, he'll end up being a really nice horse. Yeah. And today, again, flip-flops, ear hood. If you go down and look at all the horses that got away 6th, they all finished 6th.
Oh,
for the most part. Yeah. You're 100%.
He's stuck with the pack.
Exactly. And Vaquero Blue Chip I thought was good. I just wasn't going to put him in harm's way. I actually did move him to the outside down the backstretch to go by Jason Merriman with Victory Blue Chip. Now, Jason was just being safe with his. You Don't Fool Me. This is a long Tom that won. This horse looked nice for Rosie Weaver and Don Irvine Jr. You Don't Fool Me. He's a good-looking horse. And the horse that beat me for second of Darren Harvey's looked good, too. And it was a long Tom also. And Vaquero Blue Chip's got a lot more to offer. He was out of gear in a few spots, and I think we're going to put aluminums on him up front, actually, because he wears a tight hobble. And I find, especially if you're going to put a snug hobble on a horse and they'll wear aluminums, they're much more pliable with that lighter shoe on. So I think that'll be the key to Vaquero Blue Chip for the rest of the summer. That's the Spider Blue Chip, brother.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's way better than this. But even so, mile and 2, 1 and 3 last quarter, and 29 and 3 off a half and 102 and 1. Good mile for him. Now, we all take a deep breath because we've now just finished all the pacers.
Trotters.
Or all the trotters, and we're into the pacers. And again, I see you paralyzed another one here in the 12th. Paycheck Princess. Now, Scott didn't know this going out. Paycheck Princess had been about 2-1, 2-2. Born to Dance had already qualified in 58. And, you know, I almost didn't put him into qualify, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do if I don't put him into qualify? Yeah, I'll just put him into qualify. And Born to Dance was good today in the sense that he was much more focused on the race and not on the track. He would jump over stuff, and even though the shadows weren't out, he'd find something to look at.
Following?
No, not following,
Oh,
but on the front he would.
Right.
But you were gone because you paralyzed the filly, remember? So you were off by like 5.
Yeah.
And I caught up in the last turn, and I moved him over too, and we just kind of finished together beside each other. And there's a share of Paycheck Princess being sold right now to somebody. You thought Paycheck Princess
Sold. Somebody wants out.
Yeah, but somebody just bought her $700. So you thought maybe open up. Is that the filly?
Yeah, open her up just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was warned by one of the riders that she'll make a break once in a while. So just keep an eye on her.
Mm-hmm.
So I was cautious of that,
Yeah.
where I wasn't just going out and going.
Because she wears flip-flops too for that track.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And bell boots.
Yeah, the bell boots I don't know are necessary, but we were just trying to be cautious with her. And I think you're right. You open her up now that she's got a mile and 59 to her. You open her up, put a set of earplugs on her. You know, I think she could pace 56.
She felt like a good horse. Like she felt like if I just go, all right, let's go 57, she would have done it no problem. And then I believe she'll be sick or something. You know, I don't think she gave me everything she had to.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And Born to Dance was good. I'm gonna have to call that guy in a minute. So Paycheck Princess good. Born to Dance was awesome. That was the 12th. Now, Venice Blue Chip, I wanted you to go with her because I know what I felt of the filly and how good I thought she was. I'd said, quietly, just to Scott and I, that I thought she might be one of the better pacing fillies we've ever had. She's always been good, always been strong, and I thought it was a great mile from her. Your last half is 58-3, last quarter and 29 flat, but she did put that shuffling down the lane.
Yeah, that wasn't her first. That was her first qualifier.
Ever,
right?
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's why I elected to stay in the 2-hole. And just instead of giving up on speed, just kind of was focused on teaching her a little bit. But she's a looker. She looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And she gets over the ground great, and she's got a great attitude. I just drove her a little bit like a racehorse late in the mile.
Yeah.
Where she's
made
on
breaks there too before.
Has she?
Did you ever see? Not. I shouldn't say she made breaks. She did exactly what she did to you a couple of times.
She's done that
when you've really put her in gear late.
Oh, so
and I was going to ask you, what do you think she was doing? Because I never sit behind her. I don't sit behind the filly.
She's extremely slick in the turns, and sometimes she'll just shift her weight, like get off a left hind, and then she'll just do a little shuffle.
Do you think she's cross-firing a little bit?
No, there's no way. She's so wide.
We won't worry about
but
that.
I just shot her into the passing lane when she was accelerating.
I see.
She just was off that one beat.
It was funny when I said to you what the best I've seen her train was when you just come first over and just kind of let her grind up alongside.
She's strong.
And then you just come to the head lane and she's gone. Yeah. And that's how she's always been awesome. But she has, if you go back, there's a couple of videos where people have ducked her into the pass lane and almost lost her to the wire the same way. So that was Venice. Very happy with the Venice. And then in the last set, that last quarter. Yeah, and that's with the guy hooking my wheel.
That's moving.
So Dan Venier was very close to going to the hospital. He left out of there with the Rose Run Zane. And halfway down the backstretch, he's got the earplugs out. He had earplugs. He pulled them at the half. And then he moves her. He starts moving them down the backstretch. And he looks, he's at a soap. And Chris Lems is behind me. And he's kind of coming out. And I'm like, I'm just going to move her right now. She had a qualifier last week. This is her second qualifier. I move her out of the 2-hole. And we're starting to pace really, really hard with the half in 1-1. She paced the last half in 57 seconds flat. 27.4 on the end of it. And when we come out of the turn, or halfway through the last turn, Rose Run Zane gets out of gear and makes a break, and he comes out and he hooks my wheel. Now, Mr. Venier is about $140. I'm 185. He was going to take a trip to the duck pond if he hadn't come back pacing. I can assure you of that, because Anthony was not coming unseated. There's a 0% chance of that.
I smelled the rubber burning back there.
And I looked down. I laid on the shaft. I'm like, "You're coming out. I'm not going anywhere, bud." And then his horse came back pacing and took off again. I'm Fancy Like finished him off 58 flat. A great mile for her. Both the Dancing Yankees won today. So that's good for the people that are standing dancing Yankee. We bought 2. We trained them both down. They both seem really slobby in the early parts of the winter, and then have really come to life. I'm fancy, like Big Mile for her. That's an Ohio bred also, so Venice Blue Chip will be, although this filly went faster and looked good today, Venice Blue Chip is going to be our next generation filly. This filly's just going to be a real handy sort. So really, really happy with her. I see Darren Harvey's horse kill last quarter in 27-2. That was a Ponderosa, Noble Dale.
For Venice is a lather up. People like the lather ups.
Yeah, we have a leather up out of our mare that we bred her back to leather up also. I don't know much about them. We've had one, and that was Venice Blue Chip. The other horse got hurt, and we turned him. He didn't really get hurt. His sesamoids were bothering him behind him. We turned him out in the field. But this filly seems really good. So your highlights of the day, if I'm not mistaken, were you liked Memory and Imagination and the strong filly.
That was
the win.
Yeah.
And then the strong
filly, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
And Really Don't Care, you thought she was good, but maybe a little docile on the front. Venice Blue Chip, you had a good lineup though.
Yeah, I think Activation was the only one that was just kind of went with the flow.
Yeah. And for the people that own Activation out there, and I'm one of them, I kind of knew that was going to happen. I said, I don't want to tell Scotty, hey, rev this guy up. He's a baby. But I revved him up last week, and that's why he was a little hot at the gate. But I'm glad that he was actually amenable to you taking him off the car, because he will learn to race. He's got that big, heavy gait to him. He's not going to be a sprinter. Yeah. But when he learns to put himself in and allows people to put him in position, I think he'll be a useful horse. So my takeaways for the day, I thought Gypsy Hill was good. Memory and Imagination, I thought you went with her, was very good. What'd you go with here? Affection. I meant to ask you, though, speed-wise, did she feel like she was fast? Were you just...
I was asking her. Yours was just really good.
Yeah, coming out of the turn, but he's been...
You were moving down the lane. I was at stalemate.
Yeah. Pull the shoes, I thought was good, but we really got to work on the shoeing. I already talked to the blacksmith. So we have 2 corks on the outside, but those little tiny corks he put on, you may as well drew them on the shoe with a marker, and they weren't going to help her today, not on that track. So for her to do her job the way she did today was impressive for me. You thought Royal Emeralds was great. I wish Jason was here to talk about his, but Sedona Hill I thought was exceptionally good, especially since I know something in that left hind foot was bothering her. We've since taken the shoe off, and she's much better. Blanton's Blue was good. Digit was okay. Really Don't Care. Sweeney. I think Sweeney was sneaky good. You said earlier, you said a horse was sneaky good. Sweeney was exceptionally good. That's going to be a big, strong colt. And I thought he was amongst the top for me today. The other trotters in the 11th got some work to do. They'll probably re-qualify next week. Born to Dance was awesome. Paycheck Princess will come back again next week. So you think like a Hood with Cups or an Open? She had a closed on.
No. Just let her see a little bit. Let her see a little bit.
Okay.
And then no front end next week.
No front end. I'll take care of that.
I just specialty.
Remember, Scotty paralyzed her. Let's not do that again. We'll open her up, put earplugs on her, and away we go. Venice Blue Chip will come back with another qualifier with her. Don't force her into the passing lane like a lunatic, and she won't get into gear, okay?
That's right.
And I'm fancy like will likely race. They actually have some 2-year-old races for next week in Ohio. In Northfield. He always this year, he wants to put races on. So Fancy's ready to go. I think if we're going to look at any horses...
short field,
yeah, so Fancy would be ready to go on the pacing filly side. Pacing colt side, that colt for sure is ready to go. He is big, strong colt, that Born to Dance colt. They're both ready to go. Do we have a trotter? For next week's races? Sweeney possibly, but maybe not. Sedona Hill, same thing, maybe not. Pull Shoes, no. Royal Emeralds, no. Mel Gibswan, maybe. Memory and Imagination. Lots left in the tank? Now, yes.
Yeah, that one was flying. That one was...
Yeah. So maybe we'll wait. I'll wait till the Meadows has like a pop-up series in a week. We'll wait for him. Prince Charmer, maybe. The Colt, maybe. We'll have a Colt and a filly. We'll enter them, but I wouldn't be too optimistic that the classes will fill. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. 22 went behind the gate, and 22 made it off the list, and that is a rarity. It's impressive. Scotty said it, not me. I went with rarity. Impressive. I like that.
Well, I didn't want to have to come all this way, and then just because I do well on the Grand Circuit doesn't mean I couldn't make a break with every horse I went with today.
That's true. But I'm very glad that and you know what? I think it's worth noting, not just that they qualified, but they did well on a track that was not conducive to what they were trying to do today. That was a very difficult track to qualify horses on. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. If you have any questions about any other horses, feel free to drop me a line, email me, call me. Me dropping Scotty off at the airport in a minute, and then heading home myself. It's my anniversary today. So happy anniversary to me, to my wife. I'll be seeing her later on tonight. I'm going to take her out to dinner tomorrow. So with that, take care. I hope you guys had fun. It was a great day. Did you have fun?
It was a good day.
There you go.
A dusty day, but good day.
Super dusty day. We look like bakers at the end of the day, which is dust to all of us. Anyway, take care.